it. David sends his apologies. What about you, Rosie? Are you staying with us, or are you going to?
I have a million things I could be getting on with, but I had set aside the time, so I'm just not sure I'm up to talking about the politics of the world, and it's very depressing. At the moment, I don't know. What do you two want to do?
What is the thing? What are the things which you have noticed in the past, say, week, which have interested you?
I see. I can't remember anybody's name, but I mean, people who are starting to speak out. I just caught a bit on my iPad or whatever it was I was looking at earlier. Somebody was giving a speech. I'm not sure where, but they were saying, it's taken all these thousands of deaths, etc., etc., etc. I think she was giving the UN a telling off, and asking. I think she was asking them to cancel whatever agreements they had, which is basically supporting the ongoing war. This idea of providing arms. So I'm also pleased when I see other people standing up and calling out Trump and others. But it is interesting that, I'm aware of sort of the whole idea of false news, and every time I turn on my computer or my phone, you'll get all these kind of mad headlines. Trump is going to own Gaza, or whatever. And you think, oh my goodness me, what's going on now? And just the world feels very unstable. But you sort of hope and hope and hope that enough sensible people will come forward and challenge what's happening and try and move things. I've noticed there hasn't been a lot of mention of Elon Musk lately. And that's no bad. But I'm always looking for the glimmers of hope of people willing to stand up and speak out.
Yes, I think the thing with Musk is that his company is not doing too well at the moment. So,
Keep his head down.
He's not going to be great friends with Trump over that, in that case, presumably. I don't know. I was just horrified. A friend sent me on Facebook a speech that Trump made in the Middle East, and I just couldn't believe it. He was so rambling and so disconnected. He could have been. He moved from subject to subject, personal to political, statistical, with complete disregard for. It was all unconnected. What it reminded me of was people with dementia.
Yeah.
It was on one thing, and then they move to another, and they move back, and they don't realise they've moved around. And I found that really frightening. Maybe he has got dementia. I know we've always said that in a sarcastic way, but what I mean is maybe he really has got dementia.
Oh, yeah. So there's a great possibility of that, because there's a.
Sorry, I was saying one of the other things I heard in the week was how Biden apparently, how the staff tried to manage, his lapses of memory and, made sure he did as little as possible. And still, of course, he made gaffes and one thing and another and was completely confused. I'm sure there must be somebody behind the scenes trying to manage Trump, but he's a different sort of bundle of cats.
Yeah, because if you look at the presidents that have been in America over the past, you look at them and think they were just the figureheads, kind of Ronald Reagan, George Bush. These are all people who were not all that bright, but they were pushed forward as these people who could take America forward. But it was the people behind them who were controlling the agenda, and I think that is like that now with Trump. He's just a good figurehead to be able to put forward, and a controversial figurehead, so people listen and either agree or argue with him, and he can sit there going, I'm the president, I sign things.
Do you remember? I'm sure you're well acquainted with a Yes Minister, the British program. I laugh when the manipulations that go on by the staff behind the scenes trying to manage the minister and steer him into what they want to go. I mean, it is just priceless, and I can understand how Margaret Thatcher loved watching it. What was going on?
I know in Yes Minister and Yes Prime Minister, what I used to love was watching the work they did with their eyebrows. They could be saying different things with different eyebrows and different, and it wouldn't be the same as what they were saying.
My husband, face acting. Face acting, yes. Wonderful. It's very, very clever writing.
Yeah.
Jonathan Lynn was a very good writer in that respect. And they had the other one was the one written by Annucci, which was The Thick of It.
Oh yes.
Which was pun?
No, I just remember that one as well. Yes, it was great. But it took me longer to get it. I mean, I like the Yes Minister best, but I'm not sure if it was because I knew more or less about politics at that point. I don't know. But it was very well done in both,
it was a controlled from behind, which people had in the thick of it. Trying to get this minister to do things and to say the right thing.
And meanwhile, mayhem going on behind the scenes,
I think it made it the perfect thing about the swan, wasn't it? Who seems to glide effortlessly across the lake. But if you look underneath, his feet are going like that.
I don't like to think where the manipulators of Trump are going. Well, it's just capitalism made large, That's possible.
Yes, I am going to actually.
Hang on.
Sorry.
It's my new internet. It wants to ask if I want to continue to speak in English.
Yes. What do you think we're supposed to do?
It's Friday. Oh, why did I do it? But I had things going wrong, you see. So I went back to EE, who were my provider, and they sold me this wonderful package, which is very well and which costs more.
It takes a week to embed and settle down. I found that when I changed provider.
Oh, right. Oh, that's worth knowing. I didn't,
Who did you change from and to?
Well, I've been with them for quite
No, I'm speaking to Rosie.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I changed to Vodafone from PlusNet because we're slightly in a dip here in Woollavington, and so don't get the benefit of certain towers. And so all of the providers will tell you they're able to pull up a chart that shows which ones operate best. And the PlusNet were, funny enough, EE, and that didn't have anything like the same coverage or oomph as Vodafone. Because when I was on PlusNet, I mean, I literally had to stand in a certain part of the sunroom if I was on the phone so that people could hear me. And they kept saying, "Oh, you're cutting out. I didn't hear the half of what you said." You know, it was crazy. So that's important help because I was having to say to people, "I'll ring you back on the landline," you know, because otherwise it's frustrating.
You see, my landlines have now been taken away, and all my landlines, so called, are actually electric powered extensions. You know, but anyway, sorry, Ray. What about you, Ray? What are you? Who are you with?
I'm with Virgin, and sometimes the phrase goes "Virgin and the ridiculous."
Right.
But no, they're reasonably okay. You know, I've got a landline which works reasonably well, and I had to get a new one because the thingy ran out. I'll show you what I mean when I say the thingy ran out. On the green bit there, it had the, you know, that little bubble thing which you press.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the old one wouldn't allow me to press the green bit anymore. The bubble had completely gone.
Oh.
So I had to get this new one. And this new one's not allowing me to put to register numbers in it.
Oh.
So I have to kind of dial up people, find the number, dial up people if I want to use this for them. You know, it's which is a bit ridiculous, but I'm trying to sort it out at the moment.
Oh, you have my sympathy. It's
but Virgin aren't being helpful at all about it. So anyway, these things come along. As my granny used to say, these things are sent to try us, dear.
Rise above them.
With all our problems, we're still managing to get the bad news come through.
Oh, it's all there, but yeah, at my young age, I am at this that moment of the past couple of years starting to enjoy the silence around me sometimes, because you know, for a number of years, I used to get quite depressed when there wasn't people around, type of things. I come from a large family, you know, three brothers and three sisters, and father and mother. You know, there was no time when it was quiet. So I grew up with that, you know, and I'm now starting to quite enjoy sitting reading by myself, looking out the window at the life going on out there. You know.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is, we got 50. Yeah, what is it? Yeah, 64 flats and what they call studio flats, which we all know as bedsits. We've got lots of them and lots of flats. I live in a flat, but I know lots of bedsits, and you hardly see anybody. It's sad, really, you know. I've tried to do.
But it's a shame. So some of these blocks they have regular things like once a week, or you know, you all get together and have a moan about everything and so on.
So I've tried arranging a few things like music afternoons and coffee and chat mornings, but it's usually about me and a couple of others, and that's it. So I thought, well, phooey to it all. I'm going to enjoy my own life now in existence, and if someone else wants to arrange something, I will be a supporter. But I have enough to do. I'm doing quite a number of things with Quakers and with a couple of there's charity bookshops. So I fill my time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't do anything like as much as I'd like to. I find things just take me a great deal longer than they used to. They do, you know. I have to set aside, if I'm not going to be ill, I have to set aside 1 hour for breakfast, and that's eating breakfast, sitting over breakfast. You know, it takes and taking loads of pills. It also takes me an hour to get from waking up and thinking I must get up now to getting to the shower, having a shower, drying myself, putting various unguents upon my body and putting my clothes on. That is definitely another hour. So that's 2 hours gone before you can turn around.
Yeah.
And I've got daughters who, of course, are 20 years and plus older than me, and they do tend to say, no, I'm leaving home at 7. I'll be with you by 9. And I'm thinking, oh no, you're welcoming, but the idea of people arriving at 9 is really very unpleasant.
Do you have to type of thing?
So, sorry.
That's a, kind of, do you have to come so early?
Well, I see. I don't want to sound
Yeah.
welcoming, but you know, no, I have moved them along now. They don't now arrive till 10:30 to 11. So they don't come very often, you see, which is another reason why I don't like to be. But in the end, I got desperate.
But it is nice to see them, I guess.
Yes, it is. But it's, you know, I just feel terrible the next day if I didn't get enough sleep. You know, so it's a bit of a, you know. But
You
yes,
are you are
mm,
you a morning person, Rosie?
No, I'm much more a night person.
mm,
Um, you know, probably don't get to bed till at least midnight. If I get a second wind, and then I start answering emails, and I have to schedule them all to go at 8 o'clock the next morning, and make sure not to be sending them at 1 o'clock in the morning, frightening people with their going ping. I had to say to Kate Ashmore one time, I said, Kate, you do your notices at 1:30 in the morning. And I said, I only know that because my phone pings. I have it by the bed. And she hadn't realized that. She just thought, oh, I'll get it done. And then, I don't have to worry about it the next morning.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I have to be careful.
Have you heard any more from nominations committee?
Me?
Do you
What
you
regard?
you got they contacted you?
Yeah,
You said
I'm on the, no, I never get this right, the Quaker Life Planning Group.
ah, that's the
Yeah,
one. That's the one.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So we're planning regional meetings both online and in person at the moment.
Hmm.
And we sent out a questionnaire to the meeting reps just to say, what would they like to be included in those days? Is there anything particular? And also trying to get some positive comments about anything positive that's happening in local meetings, etc. Thoughts and ideas that can be shared. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I thought you were fair. I was nominated for a second period for Clapham House management
Oh yeah.
meeting.
Yeah. 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 Not it's not the sort of place that people have heard of too much. He said, "Turn into Patsy." Have you heard of Clapham House?
no, no, I was. I'd like to know. No, what does it do?
Well, actually, that's a really good point, Ray, because they're all the time trying to raise awareness. I mean, essentially, Patsy, there you and we've done this at Portishead. You go there for a day. and there's lovely grounds outside of the weather's good. You've got a little kitchen, you know, if you wanted to bring lunch or make a little sitting room, and then of course you have the meeting room. So when we've been there, we've had the whole place to ourselves for the day and done various activities and included time for worship, etc. But what they're trying out is they've got 2 bedrooms upstairs. One has a double bed, and the other has, I think it's 3 sets of bunk beds, and families or individuals can book to go for a few days or for a weekend or whatever. And it really lends itself to like a retreat if you just want to get away, cook for yourself, have nice walks in the countryside, that type of thing. But I will, at our next meeting, make the point that they ought to do internal promotion, you know, because they recently put an advert in the, I think it was the U3A magazine, which, you know, reaches thousands of people. But so far they have, and they have a standing advert in the Friend. But I think they really, really, really ought to, you know, contact all the local meetings, maybe run a couple of open days so people can come and have a look around. Because I say at Portishead we've been there twice for our sort of away day, but this year we're having what we call an at-home day because you know 3 friends died last year, and Aziz, one of our attenders, died on the 4th of April. And we just thought we have a lovely resource of our own meeting and hall and grounds, and that we would just stay together locally and have a nice day and bring a shared lunch. And then Jack Blacker is going to do some activities with us. So that's why we're not going to Clavering this year. But yeah, as I said, so for some meetings, they might like to go for a day, or individuals who just want a little break.
Yeah.
Just gonna grab a photograph.
Yeah.
No, it sounds lovely.
Apparently it's also very handy for the airport. And Tom Limdorfer was saying that occasionally people will book it, you know, stay for a night, leave their car there, and then get public transport to the airport and come back. So
Central Meeting went to Clavering many years ago, and obviously I went. But this is a picture of us at Clavering Meeting.
Lovely. Yeah.
And a few of the people there have now passed away, but it was a wonderful day, and we had someone who came and spoke to us. We had a restful time, lunch, and a walk, as you say, a walk in the countryside type of thing. It was jolly good, because everybody remembered it. But at least 1, 2, 3. I know at least 4 of those people who have now passed away, but you can see how long ago it was. But you've inspired me to think about doing something again. So,
yes. Well, now that you are clerk to our meeting, right? This is it's your time.
Yes.
I think it would be lovely. I would like that. You know, so somewhere in the fresh air. It would be really nice.
Yeah. We should probably try and get someone to drive a mini bus or something there and back.
That sounds fun.
Or those who have got cars take people full carload or something like that. But that one was set up by the Cans, Janet and Roger Can.
Oh yes.
And you could see Janet's in the picture there, because she's can I point to her? Kind of, that's Janet.
Oh yes.
I got my finger on. I have my finger on Janet.
Right.
But,
yeah.
Roger was there, but he was taking the picture. So he
Right.
was and as we all know, he is one of those that has passed on. But it was a jolly good time. Still
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
Have we had any news of Janet?
He goes to the chocolate
The chocolate factory.
chocolate thing, which have a meeting there, which they have a small meeting there.
Yeah.
So that's where she goes because she is getting quite infirm these days. She's finding it hard to walk anywhere. And as you know, she has a large group of children and grandchildren and all that lot. But yes, two of her sons were adopted, which are two rather chunky black men now. They are chunky, big lads, and one of them once came to meeting and kind of looked at me and smiled, and he looked down. He nearly wouldn't look into my eyes, type of thing, because Janet said he gets embarrassed. And I thought, okay. I didn't want to speak to him like a teacher of a junior school or something.
No.
Well, laddo, how too embarrassing. But he's a big lad, and her great granddaughter, the two granddaughters came for a weekend with Granny, and they also came to meeting at Central, and I was chatting to one of them, and she said, "Do you know what?" And I said, "What?" And she said, "Granny makes us get dressed even if we're not going out all day." And I thought, yep, that's Janet.
Yeah.
But it was lovely, the type of thing, But there you go.
Is it normal nowadays for children to remain in their pajamas or whatever they were all day? Is that usual now?
Apparently, at this little girl's home, yes, she was allowed to do that.
Yeah, but maybe
Generally,
sorry. Maybe,
So,
maybe that's what they. I mean, I don't know. I'm very out of date because I only see my granddaughter, and my great granddaughter on very formal. Okay, well, formal enough that they certainly wouldn't be wearing their pajamas. And I'd really like to know whether, in fact, on the days, most of the days, when I don't see them, are they, lying around in their pajamas, or is it now normal? I mean, it's like.
but on COVID, I used to spend 2 or 3 days wandering around in my dressing gown.
Yeah, feeling ill and stuff. Well, golly, I've now got to confront some, some some strictures I didn't even know I had. I feel quite shocked. I mean, I knew people didn't get dressed if they were not very well, but the idea that they don't get dressed because they aren't going out is a new one. I haven't. Gosh. Maybe I don't need to either. maybe.
It's the thought.
I got a feeling it's the start of a slippery slope.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, when the doorbell rings and you have to answer it, you think, I can't be answering the door in my pajamas.
Yes.
But what will people?
Yeah.
I yelled through the door, "Wait a minute!" and put on my dressing gown.
Well, we grew up, when we grew up, you did worry about what people thought. And I find that really difficult to shake off. I mean, the friends my close friends, are very much more laid back. One of them is a year older than me. The other one is 15 years younger. And their attitudes are quite different to mine. I think in one case it's the difference in age. The other one, I think it's social class. I think, her social background is quite different to mine. And she's totally relaxed about things like that. Whereas I think, oh, I can't go to the door. I'm not dressed. I don't know. Yeah. Unless you wouldn't go to say, if I had a corner shop, I would certainly not want to go to the corner shop in my slippers and my dress again. But people do.
Oh, it's a different
Yeah.
period, you know. You know when phones used to be on the wall, they kind of,
Yeah,
you said,
yeah, they used to work too. Yeah,
my
yeah, they
Aunt
used to
Rose,
work. Yes. Mm.
there was a mirror beside the time there, and my Aunt Rose would always look in the mirror and go before answering the phone.
Wonderful.
But it's
And
better.
her husband Tom used to say, "Rose, why do you do that?" And she'd look at him and said, "I don't know, dear. We'll just carry on doing it." It's one of those little idiosyncrasies which makes us like each other. You know,
Yeah,
we're not perfect. None of us are, and that is a delightful thing, which shows that we have all these. What do they call them? Anyway, whatever it is they call them, that we are different.
idiosyncrasies.
That's a fella.
I am reminded of keeping up appearances when you're talking about the phone.
Oh,
And Hyacinth would always be dressed to the nines, and she had an outfit for absolutely every occasion, including her candlelight suppers. But
oh
it
yeah.
was she'd answer the phone, the lady of the house speaking.
Patricia Rutland.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, she's absolutely marvelous.
Oh, we've
Yes.
got, yes, people have names. So she called herself Mrs. Bouquet. And and I hate to be awkward about a fellow member of a Quaker community who calls herself Diarth rather than Death.
Oh yes.
What was the name again?
Diarth.
Leon. Did I hear that right?
Instead of death, it's pronounced Diarth.
Oh, I see. Yeah, yes, yes. I have actually met that somewhere else once. Um, might have been on Facebook. But there's somebody, it can't, there's somebody, it can't be Facebook actually, could it? I have met it once, and it stuck in my mind because it was so weird, but it wasn't in Queen Quakers. Um, yes, people do all sorts,
That also reminds me at the time when I was working where I was working professionally, I was at a school. They were having a presentation of new governors and new people working within the school. And the headmaster came up to me and said, "Ray, I'd like to introduce you to one of their new governors." And the bloke put out a hand, and this is an absolute truth. This is not a story or anything like this. He put his hand out and said, "For font bittocks, two small F's." And I dearly wanted to go Ray Bray, one small B, but I thought no. But for font bittocks, two small F's. You think, okay. but it was, interesting times.
Yeah. Yeah, I going back to your original subject. I mean, I am concerned about what's going up behind Trump. I'm not particularly concerned about him hitting the red button because I think he will be prevented from doing that. But it doesn't mean
Yeah.
he's well. I may be then giving him the blame for it. So it's the people behind him, and I don't know enough about them, but I don't like what I hear.
Yeah, they're moving all the money to the rich type of thing,
Well,
and
yeah, yeah,
four,
yeah.
$400 million has been taken away from the care fund for people who need Medicare or need finance to help them buy food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That has been removed, and a great chunk of that has gone to the military to protect Trump while he's playing golf. And you kind of think,
Mm.
right, so that's that's not good.
No.
He's played golf 5 times so far since he's been 5 weekends since he's been president, which is more than any other president.
It really annoys me that he can play golf in this country. Do you know when he's seeing the Queen? His
It's
invitation.
not because it's not going to see the Queen because she's dead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, well, hang on a minute. Yeah, when he's going to see the King. Mm.
It's going to, I don't know, but no, it's going to see Charles III. But sorry about that. That was very silly. But no, we don't know, and it's still being worked out. But he was offered that by Keir Starmer when he went and went for a bit of a grovel. Which I think was absolutely disgraceful. But there you go. Yeah.
Yes.
And you've got Mandy, who is their ambassador in the US at the moment, Peter of the Mandelson,
Yes.
or as he was known within Labour circles, Mandy, which makes it wonder about him. And the amusing joke that he was up north doing the glad handing, hello, I'm medicine and all this lot, and they went to a fish and chip shop and got fish and chips, and he looked at the plate, looked at what the stuff was there, and he said, "And I have some of that avocado dip, please." And the fish and chip shop looked at him and said, "What?" And he pointed at it. He said, "Nay, lad," he said, "that's mushy peas."
Very good.
Yeah.
So you think of
Yeah.
stuff like that, you can't make it up, really.
He's a very appropriate person to send when you think about it.
But there you go. But you have the horror in government at the moment, which is Anne Nige, who's
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that quite.
Nigel Farage.
Oh, yes.
Anne Nige, as he's sometimes called by estuary English people, where he is an MP. He's Anne Nige, who's going to change things in Parliament. So that
I didn't know that. No. Yeah.
It
But
was
for
interesting on
Sorry?
Sunday. The program where they sort of they have a guest panel who read from the newspapers.
hmm,
And one suggestion was there was a call out from the far right saying infiltrate reform, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And apparently reform responded saying we do not want far right people in our party. That's not what we are about, etc. I thought, wow, how blatant is that to actually put a call out to say, infiltrate and bring them around to our way of thinking. So
Yes.
it's scary.
Three of the councillors who had seats in the local government, uh, the local councils,
yeah.
have now resigned.
Ah,
One of them for being, really overt racist, and the council said, "No, don't like everything here," and he resigned in a huff. Or as
hmm.
Groucho Marx would say, "Don't go off in a huff, go off in a minute and a huff."
Oh,
Yeah.
hmm. It's not. Things don't look very cheerful at the moment. But it's going to be a nice summer, I think, isn't it? So some people say it's going to be, the August are good for a very nice
I
summer.
said,
Hmm?
for a moment, friends, you froze on me. And then I thought, there we go. Your internet connection is unstable, it says there.
Oh, I did
Because
wonder actually if I'm normally sitting in a slightly more attentive position. I'm wondering if I wasn't quite reaching the microphone. Is that better? No?
Yeah, it's
we,
fine.
we
Oh,
can still hear you happily. Yeah.
so it is
No
just the
problem.
connection. Right.
It's my collection. Yeah.
Oh, it's
I've
your
always been
connection.
slightly unstable.
Oh, nowadays they don't call it that, do they? I think you're on the spectrum. Isn't that the phrase? On the
Yeah,
spectrum.
I'm divergent.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, yeah.
another one.
Just
It
that one. Yeah.
seems to be coming out for the moment.
I mean,
Yes, no,
it's very
no, I just have
liberating.
dyslexia.
No, it's just compared with how we grew up. It's terribly liberating to be able to say, rather than, oh, he's a nutter, it's to say, "Hey, give me
Irony.
a diversion."
Oh, well,
If we
we're all different.
and that is not going to last, is it? We're going to be pushed into carefully measured boxes.
Little boxes on the hillside. You remember that song?
Made of icky tacky. Yes.
Yes, yes, I remember it well.
Yeah,
Tom Paxton.
Ah,
that's
right.
right.
Hmm. Yeah, but I do remember the little boxes. It was clever. That was a clever song.
Oh, it was.
Mm.
All the same. There's a green one, and the red one, the big one, and the yellow one. Anyway,
And they all come out the same. Yeah.
back to that type of thing. But uh, yeah, yeah, we're going to have a pleasant summer, hopefully, where we can all lay around and not do a lot. And I shall sit outside a lot of the time reading books with a drink of some kind. And yeah, because we got a nice this place we got a nice garden
Oh, nice.
because a lot of people who came here who came from houses or flats and that lot where they had their own garden,
Mm.
and as they've got a bit older and a bit infirmed, they find they can't do their gardens anymore. can't do the garden completely anymore, or look after their house and flat and something
Yeah.
like that. So they come here. And so they, if they like doing gardening, they can go outside and be part of the group which does the gardening here.
Yeah.
So always have a beautiful garden.
That's lovely.
And I hate gardening. I wouldn't do it if you paid me to do it. Because I don't know any of the plants, I get a little bored with digging and weeding and doing stuff like that. But I like to look at gardens. So I can sit outside in one of the chairs and read my book and look at the garden.
Very nice.
It's
What
wonderful.
about you? Are you a gardener, Rosie?
I think I'm what's known as an accidental gardener. I do very well with things that can look after themselves, like bulbs. And I'm always surprised and delighted when things work. I have a great neighbour across the road called Mary. She's a fantastic gardener. And she's always giving me advice and giving me seeds and all kinds of things. And but she's what I would call an immaculate gardener, because no weed has any chance of survival in her domain.
Right.
And she, bless her heart, every season there would be a theme in her garden. So, it would be either lots of tulips and then daffodils and then summer bedding and whatnot. So she's now changed all of that because she's getting older and decided to put in rose bushes. But they all, it's for year-round interest type of thing.
Yeah.
So, but she's very good. She give me seeds. I admired, she had these beautiful pink poppies last year. I don't know whether they were called candy flosses, they had a special name. I'm surprised, and the seeds she gave me are just starting to flower. I'm really excited. Birthday money with a small tree with, and planted it in a big pot against a warm wall, and the fruit are coming. And of course, Mary has a fig tree, and her tip was that she puts the fruits inside a Ziploc bag and then closes the zip bit, so it creates a little mini greenhouse around the fruits. And she said, "They right," but she's marvelous, absolutely marvelous. So, but yeah, I like you, Ray. I love going into other people's gardens, open gardens, and things like that.
Yeah.
It makes you appreciate the amount of work they do to have them looking so good.
Yeah.
But tomorrow in our village, it's the local allotments plant sale. So I'm very excited to go and see what I can get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I once had a friend, Tom, who was studying horticulture at the college because he wanted to become a landscape gardener type of thing like that. And I was working at another school at the time, and him and his girlfriend came for the weekend. So we wandered around, and we wandered around the garden, which was full of plants and stuff, vegetables and all this lot. And it was run by a chap called, and he was, I don't know his last name, but he was always called Mr. Burt. And Mr. Burt was a grouchy man, really quite, because he hated the children running around the garden where he'd done, so shooing them off and all those things like that,
Yeah.
And I was showing Tom, my friend, around there, and Mr. Burke came out kind of glaring at us, and Tom thought he could ingratiate himself with him, and he said, "Oh, I see you've got Labyrinthus cariandria, or whatever Latin name it was for it." And Mr. Burke looked at him and said, "Nope, they're cabbages," and wandered off again.
Plain.
It was quite, I was quite amused. And Tom thought, teacher, everything. But there you are. Yeah, I do like flowers. I had an uncle who grew prize-winning chrysanthemums and dahlias, and he used to show them at local shows and always won first prize type of thing because he's very guarded with them, you know.
Yeah.
His wife used to get cross sometimes, and she said, "You look, you know, kind of the thing you look after your plants better than me," type of thing.
Probably did.
Which was sent rather with amusement rather than kind of. I think I don't know what she said when I wasn't there, but there you go.
I like all kinds of gardens. I love gardens, in fact, but I do not garden. And the friend of mine I've got an upstairs flat, and she's got a downstairs flat, and she really has much more access to the garden, so she has more say in what is done, which is almost nothing. I mean, basically, you've got it's very nice indeed, but it's a wild garden. We keep the trees trimmed because you have to, you know. But when we have to pay to have that done, we pay for that between us. And we've got a couple of things we planted ourselves, but basically we just leave it alone, you know. And it's actually very nice. It's very peaceful and pleasant, and the birds love it. We've got lots of birds, much to the delight of the neighbouring cats, unfortunately. But we've got a couple of tame robins that complain if they're not fed. Um, but it's basically made it a very peaceful, nice smelling place. And it is totally tidy. I mean, a gardener would have a fit, but it's a nice place to sit all the same, you know. I just like things growing, you know. Well, when I go down, my friend that I go and stay with usually for a week in June, is down in Hampshire, and they've got quite a few gardens open to the public, and I always enjoy looking. I just wouldn't dream of going to that much trouble myself, but I do enjoy going down and looking around.
Well, it is nearly 12 o'clock now. So I don't know how you feel, but I think we can go.
Oh, we should
If
announce next week's talk.
we should, and I'm going to.
Right.
And next week, you have the dubious joys of myself, who is going to be speaking on the chap called Henry Carter Bresson and his colleagues. In other words, this is photo reporting of different photos and how they impacted on the world today or yesterday. And I hope you will find it amusing.
That was really interesting. Yeah, and it's our last one, of course.
I've nearly finished writing it up, and it's the last one. It's the last one, friends, before we go on summer holidays.
Sunbathing ahead.
So come along.
Yes.
Right.
And see you next week.
You certainly will.
Okay. All right. Bye, Dan. Bye. Bye.